What's up guys, welcome back to this channel. My name is Alex, I'm an architect in London, and in this video I thought I'll share with you how I manage my time so that I can balance my work, health, personal relationships without going insane, or at least try to. So basically I use different techniques that I have read about and also tested over several years to see what works for me. And number one is the time tracking. So what I usually do is I'll use my calendar and I'll start using it in a very conventional way. So I'll plan a day out, a week, a month in advance, and I'll have different entries in the calendar. And then as the day goes by, I will review those entries and I'll adjust them to basically record what I have actually done on those days. And this is like extremely pedantic because it is difficult in the beginning, but what it allows me to do is it allows me to have an overview, a kind of snapshot of the week that I had previously, so that I'm better at estimating my time in the future. And the reason why I started doing that is because I became increasingly frustrated with myself for not being able to complete my side project. So I would think that something would take a certain period of time and then it would take like 2 or 3 times longer and I couldn't finish the project. And from that frustration came the almost like a necessity to be able to know how long things are gonna take. So this is where I started recording my time, because it does give me a data to back my estimates. And at this point I became so good at it that most of the time, unless a task is something that I haven't done before, then I usually am quite good at predicting how long things are gonna take. And I think it was Peter Drucker who famously said that basically what can be measured can be managed, and time, I think, is one of those things that this applies to really well. So the second principle that I use pretty much all the time is the principle of time allocation. And there's a famous blog post by Paul Graham, who is a Silicon Valley legend, who had put this blog together that explains the difference between managers and makers schedules. So manager schedule is typically the schedule that is used by senior staff in any organization, and it consists of juggling between different activities that take no longer than 20 or 30 minutes. So these things can be like writing emails, calls, communication, chat with colleagues, and meetings. Basically, it's all the business stuff that goes into the running organization. And so the second type of schedule is the maker schedule. Now, in architectural companies, these would be the tasks that would be done by the technical staff, and it's all the activities that are not business stuff, i.e., production of information like design tasks, planning, detailing, all the work basically that goes into making the building. So it excludes all the emails, communications, and all other interruptive tasks that can happen on a daily basis. So what does it mean for us? Well, it's important that we as architects are trying to carve out those maker schedule times, because if we can have those uninterrupted chunks of time that we can focus on work without getting interrupted, actually it's going to save us a lot of time in the long run. And a great source to read is the Cole Newport's Deep Work, and he talks about this kind of state of flow that everybody can get into if they protect that time against the unnecessary interruptions. And then the other framework that I use is all about getting smart with how you approach your tasks, and it's about the realization that unfortunately we're not going to be able to complete everything that we need to complete, and that's where the prioritization comes handy. And part of it will be based on the values that you have. So like for me, health, relationships, and also work are quite important. So in each of those categories I try to figure out like what are the things I need to be focusing that week, that month, or that day the most. And what helps in making that framework work is the 80-20 principle, or Pareto principle as it's sometimes called. And it's the principle that was coined by Italian economist Wilfredo Pareto, who basically said that a very large portion of wealth in Italy was distributed across a very small population of people. And that's where this kind of ratio came in, 20-80. It can be skewed to like 5-95 or 10-90 or 30-70. But the point is that the most of the outcomes are influenced by very few inputs. A very small percentage of population will own majority of wealth in this world, unfortunately. And it will also mean that like 20% of your carpet area in a house, for example, are gonna get 80% of wear. And so if we try to apply this principle to our calendars, I think there are a couple of important questions we can ask to see if something is a priority for that day or a week or a month. And the first one is, what tasks or inputs will lead to majority of outcomes? What is it that I need to do that day that will tick boxes for most of the stuff that I need to do later that week or later that month, for example? And the other one is like, if I could only do one single thing, like if I had a gun to my head and I had to do like one single thing in a day, a week or a month, what would that one thing be? And that sometimes brings a lot of clarity about what our priorities are in those different areas of life, because these things will be different for each category. If you like this video, you might also like this other video that I'm gonna link up somewhere over here that talks about the time management. It covers a wide range of techniques that help me to be on top of my to-do list. So if you're looking to be more deliberate and organized with your time, I suggest you check that video out, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye bye.